Hey, what's up, everybody? 2 days down with the Masters. We're out here. What's up, Mitch? What's
We
up?
out here. How's it going, guys?
Oh, dude, it's pretty wild couple days to start.
Yeah,
Nothing.
lots and lots of birdies. What was this? The lowest scoring first two rounds ever in a Masters?
Yeah, it was the lowest scoring first two rounds ever in the Masters. A couple of other stats. 53 players were under par after the first round. The
It's a
previous
lot.
guy was 38. So
Jeez.
15 more players under par. I know we probably kind of predicted this, but I
Yeah, the
mean,
course is just so freaking soft. It's nuts.
oh yeah, we'll get into how insane it's been with the freaking guys hitting 5 wood. We'll talk more about our cousin Cam here in a little
Our
bit.
long lost cousin.
But what are your thoughts overall going? The first couple of days, is it kind of what you expected? Is it not? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I called it when we were on our pod Wednesday, and I thought that there was going to be some dark horses kind of come out of nowhere, and that hasn't been the case at all. You got all your typical guys at the top, besides De Chambeau, who you love to see. But you've got Rom, you've got DJ, you've just got all the powerhouse guys right there at the top. A few surprises. Jazzy J, our guy, he's at what is 6 under, I think.
I think he's only 3.
Oh, did he drop back to 3? He got it to 6 under at some point today, so that was pretty wild. But other than that, there's not too many guys that you really think are where they shouldn't be. I will go ahead and say right off the bat that my picks all sucked ass. I did a horrible job. Tyrrell Hatton had it to 1 under. When was it? About when they finished yesterday, and he had five. I think he had 6 holes left this morning, and he proceeds to dump one in the water on 15. Or I'm sorry, not 15. Where did he hit it in the water? Oh, on the par 3 on 16. He hit one in the water, made double, ends up shooting one over. And he's one of those super emotional guys. Like when he's playing really well, he's riding that emotional high, and he makes a shitload of birdies. And when he's kind of cashes it in, he's out of it. Like he's kind of a child like that. He doesn't really stick in and fight it. So I think he ended up shooting 2 or 3 over in his second round, and he's going to miss the cut. And then Finau's kind of been up and down. I think he's barely going to make the cut on the number. And then Bernd Wiesberger is, I think, also 1 under. So I think they're both going to make the cut. But overall, not in contention. I gave some shit picks. I'm disappointed. I almost took Tommy Fleetwood, and he is right there. So I'm going to claim Tommy Fleetwood and also Louis Oosthuizen just because I like them both. So I'm going to claim those two for the weekend.
Well, Tommy Fleetwood is just one of those guys that seems to always be there during majors. Nobody ever picks him to win, yet he fired.
Well, he hasn't won yet.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Nobody ever picks him to win, and he hasn't won one, but he's always finds himself. I mean, he shot 66 today. One thing I thought was interesting, which we talked about, and granted, we still have a few players to get through their second 18 holes in the morning, which kind of sucks. Like the guys will get to start and they'll play on Saturday at Augusta, but they're not going to make the cut.
Yeah.
It looks like
can't get that early flight first thing out Saturday morning.
Exactly. They get to hang around, play a few more holes, but at the same time, you get a little more experience for the guys that haven't been here before. Looks like right now the cut line is right at even. So something interesting about that, the lowest cut ever in a Masters is 1 over. So looking at basically even par right now is going to make the cut now.
Well, this was also, I was going to say, it's the first year they're not taking everybody within 10 shots of the lead. So, exactly. So that's got to have something to do with it.
All the guys that won over would basically be it'd be 60 players, 61 players essentially.
But they're just taking top 50. So
yeah, and Mike Weir would be currently making the cut if it wasn't for the top 50.
I still cannot believe. I honestly thought he'd shoot like 85, 83. I did not anticipate him even keeping it around par. So,
let's talk about my picks. My picks are fire.
Your picks are fired. Props to you.
Paul Casey came out in the first round, fired 65, ended up with a tie for the first round lead with Dustin Johnson and Dylan Fratelli. goofy ass looking
Yeah,
dude.
Fratelli kind of came out of nowhere a little bit.
Yeah, he's one goofy looking dude, but Fratelli, so he ended up tying for the first round lead. I did not bet the first round lead, but it's actually kind of funny because in golf, we watched enough golf tournaments. In football, if you're up after the first quarter by a substantial amount, you feel pretty good about it, right? You feel like you had a good lead. But in golf, it's very rare, not very rare, but it's highly unlikely that a guy that has a first round lead by himself hangs on to win and goes coast to coast, or what's the wire to wire, I should say.
Yeah. It's
Wire to wire.
especially at majors, it's almost unheard of.
Yeah. So some of the other different storylines from today we can get into. So let's go with the leaders. Abraham Answer, man, he came out of nowhere. This is his first Masters. Nobody's won their first Masters since 1979, Fuzzy Zeller. So good 41 years.
Yeah, dude, I actually really like Abraham Answer. Fun fact about him, 3 or 4 of the logos on his shirt and his hat are companies he actually owns part or full stake in. His main investor, if you look at his logo on his chest, it's a steel company. It's an oil company. So he met this guy at a Pro-Am down in Houston. And for people who don't know, in order to play in a Wednesday Pro-Am as an amateur, you basically have to put up 10, 15 grand to play in that Wednesday Pro-Am with the Tour Pro. And Abraham Answer he has dual citizenship as in Mexico and in America. So he's actually born in Mexico, and this dude who owns this oil parts company, they basically build parts and tools for oil rigs. He got paired up with him, and that dude is also from originally born in Mexico. So they hit it off right off the bat. And so that's he became his sponsor like the next week. That's the logo on his shirt. And then they started a tequila company together, which I think is on his hat or on his sleeve. But they own a tequila, their own brand of tequila together, and a few other companies. So a lot of the logos that he rocks are either that dude who he's a business partner with or his own companies. So he's playing the long game there. He's making serious long-term money, even being from Mexico, of course, it means something, but who doesn't want to own a tequila brand by themselves anyways? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's the dream. I want a whiskey named after me or that I create. So,
well, didn't Ricky Fowler buy Casamigos or part of it?
No, Casamigos, they sponsored a lot of the spring breaks that like Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, all those went on. But actually George Clooney owned Casamigos, and he sold his stake in that last year or 2 years ago for $600 million. So he not a bad chunk.
No, not a bad way to.
He built it up, used his platforms, and grew it into something huge. And I'm sure Abraham Answer is trying to do the same thing. But another quick plug about Abraham is he plays Mira. He's sponsored by Mira, and there was a time a while back that I was kind of sponsored by Mira. But with previous owners, when I was playing professionally, they sponsored me and sent me free stuff. But they're a Japanese hand forged club. Really high quality stuff, and Answer is one of the only guys out on tour that plays Mirror right now. So I kind of feel like a little close with him over that. It's just pureness after pureness, and
you guys got a little bond going.
Exactly. And if you ever get bored, go Google him, because his short game is stupid. Like his pitch shots, the way he controls spin and how much spin he can create, it's unbelievable. He's a short game wizard. So definitely happy for him. And his lettuce is unreal. You see that flow he's got going?
Oh yeah, dude. There's so much flow out this year in the Masters, and that's where golf is moving to. Like 10 years ago, you don't see any flow from anyone. Now it's like half the players in the field is just full on lettuce coming out.
Business in the front, party in the back, baby. And that's how our cousin Cam is rocking it too. He's got a bunch of flow going on in the back. He is kind of goofy looking. That's the only reason I don't think he could be related to us. Because
he's got the dirty stash. I'm kind of rocking that right now.
See, his stash isn't even deep enough for me to like see it. Like it's kind of blonde.
I know when I was tweeting today about his dirty stash, what's dirtier, his stash or his approach shots into par five? I had to find a good look with like a good shadow because otherwise it wasn't like it's kind of a blonde like, but that's what makes it dirty. Like when you can actually see it.
When it looks like shit and you still keep it.
Yeah, it's filthy. But
it sucks and you just roll with it. Well, and also another thing about Cameron Smith is Spencer had no idea there's actually a golf clothing company called Penguin. And so if anybody looked at Cameron Smith's shirt today, it's just a penguin as the logo, and it is actually called Penguin. And they got some pretty cool shit.
Dude, it's fire. It's the way of like the way golf is moving. All these like little imprinted logos and cool little stuff. It's not the bland bullshit anymore. It's changing, and a lot of the players that are wearing it are balling out like Cam Smith. But he had a real up and down day. He started out. He had to finish his first 9, and this is something that I wanted to ask you about. Being, playing professional golf, and you probably never had a circumstance like this where you've finished a round and then went back into it, but just playing as much golf as you do and as I do, I feel like all the guys that had to go back in and play like 6, 7 holes this morning at 5:30 our time, 7:30 their time, those were the guys, Dustin, Justin, that just tore it up going back onto the course just straight up, like Dustin Johnson finished his first 9, was the leader, and then went on to make 3 of 4 holes on Amen Corner right away at 10, 11, and 13.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought he was going to run away with the tournament when he was 10 under. The next closest guy was 7. I was like, oh, here we go. Because there's no hot like Dustin Johnson hot on tour. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. Well, so you're talking about like those 5, 6 holes they had. Basically, I'm sure they think about it as like warm-up holes. And especially if you get out on the course, test the conditions a little bit, see how fast the greens are. A lot of guys on mini tours, if they're staying in a town, obviously, and they'll play a tournament at one course, they'll go play 9 holes at another course an hour or 2 before they tee off. They'll actually play 9 holes at a different course and get warmed up because it's that play feel. I mean, you can sit on the range for 2 hours and beat balls, but until you actually get on the course and see how you're hitting it. And that's why, I mean, me personally, I've talked about it, but I'm not a really hot starter. So that extra 4 or 5 holes to kind of warm up. And I'm sure a lot of the guys were thinking, if I can get through this finishing stretch, my last 5 or 6 in even par or 1 under, then I can make the turn ready, warmed up, and pretty much just try to go out there and tear it up, especially given how soft the conditions were. So,
well, yeah, and that's exactly what Dustin Johnson did. And then, he came out and then kind of faltered there at 14. That was one of the most – I saw another dude hit that same putt, but that 14th pin was back right.
Yeah.
And Dustin Johnson was kind of back left. And it's always tough to tell the exact undulations on TV. But, dude, I tweeted this, and his straight ass was pointed at the hole.
Oh, yeah, that was ridiculous.
And that's what started his kind of downfall because he was rolling. He was on fire. He hit a kind of he pulled his approach shot on 14. He 3-whacked that, and then he goes to 15. And I don't know what happened there, dude. He just flat out maybe chunked it, or he missed it by a couple yards on 15, rolled into the water, and that kind of kept him at bay from there. Because I thought when he was at 10, and he still had 15 holes to go. Yeah. I thought that he was going to finish at 14, 15, maybe even 16 under and kind of not run away essentially, and everybody else would get to 8, 9, 10, and he'd be having a 6-shot lead. But instead he's tied with, like we talked about, Abe Answer, our cousin Cam. Let's talk about some of his shots today, dude. He had a real up and down day as well. He started out, finished his back 9, came into the front, made another bogey on 10, so he's bogeyed 10 twice in a row. But then at the finish, dude, freaking 5 under in 4 holes.
Yeah. He and I know we were going to kind of get into it in a little bit, but just the softness of the course. I mean, don't get me wrong; it takes quite a bit to hit a 5-wood from 247 and land it a foot from the hole. But the tough thing is that's never. In years past, that's not even a pin you aim at. You can't get close to that. And now it's not guarded. So it's pretty free game. I mean, if it's that soft, it's not playing in the hands of some of the shorter hitters. But even guys like Cam Smith's not super long. He's probably around average or a little above average. But when you can land it, like I said, it still takes a very, very good shot. But if you can land a 5-wood on a number and it stays on that number, that's huge. So it's basically, and realistically, you'd almost want a little, I wouldn't say a longer club, but it's tougher to control the spin. You saw guys ripping wedges off the front of greens and stuff. So I think it may be a little easier for them hitting like some mid irons or long irons into par fives, because they're not going to release. And a lot of these guys know that they're going to hit their number or get within a yard or two. And if they've got that number, then they're just dialed in on it. So,
oh yeah. And for those people that have, those people that haven't played or watched a ton of golf before, or especially watched the Masters, Michael, your weekend is not over, bro. Brooks Koepka looked really good points today. He makes putts and he's in a totally different spot. I think where's he sitting at right now? He is at 5 under. Anybody?
Well, dude, I watched him earlier this morning. He was 2 over, and then he made an eagle, and he's one of those guys that can get on such a run. If he's within, so he's 5 under, he's only 4 back. He's definitely got a chance. I would actually say he's kind of in the driver's seat. I know he's pretty experienced with having leads, but I think a lot of the guys ahead of him, they're going to play a little bit more defensive, and we always know how Brooks plays so aggressively. So I think that'll play right into his hands. Yeah,
absolutely. And like these guys, for people that haven't watched the Masters before, because that's what's cool. Like I think a lot of people are home. I'm quarantining currently right now. I get to watch this, and this is like the best week I've ever to spend at home. But people that haven't watched the Masters that are now kind of diving into it, either new golf fans, like we have millions, not us personally, but golf has just a brand new bunch of people that have never played. They're going to watch Augusta next year, or maybe even this weekend, and it's going to play like a totally different course.
Yeah,
it's never been this soft. It's never been. You don't see pitch marks on the greens. You don't see You don't see balls staying in their own ball marks. You don't see 5 woods landing at the hole and staying there. The thing is, though, the greens are still tough.
They're still fast.
Yeah, they
definitely fast.
Can have soft greens and fast greens, and I think no one knows this better than Kevin Na. So I don't know about how close you paid Kevin Na.
I saw he had 39 putts in round 1. He hit every green in regulation.
Yep, he hit every green and had 39 putts, and he was like 1 under last time I checked, or right around even par, so he might make the cut.
That sounds like one of your high school rounds.
Yes, easily.
Except for you'd probably hit about 12 greens and have about 43 putts.
I'm not sure you see that. What do you think about Justin Rose? Justin Rose came out guns blazing today.
Yeah, Rose is actually one of my picks in a pool that I'm in with one of our buddies. I like Rosie's game a lot. He's one of those guys, kind of had his hot streaks, had his moments where he just hits the ball so well. He's super consistent, and as long as he's making putts, I definitely think he's got a chance. He hasn't really closed in a while, if I can remember correctly. He's faltered on some weekends, so I'd like to see him do it. He's a great guy, and he's a great ambassador for the game. Fun fact about Justin Rose real quick. The first year he made it out on the European Tour, I think he missed 13 straight cuts. He didn't make a single dollar like his whole first season, and almost like quit golf. So
that's crazy.
Fun fact about Rosie. But I think Rosie's got a good shot. I like him a lot. So
one of my other picks, Rory McIlroy, shot a crisp 75 in his first round. And I even
75-65?
75-66.
66.
So he was one of the guys that teed off late yesterday. He got not a great start. And then as the sun was going down, after the horns went off, he hurried his shot on 10 and hit it in the bunker and created a bogey. He was 120 out on 10 with an easy, accessible front pin, and ended up creating a bogey for himself. And then this morning round, I didn't get up that early. I was up about 7 and started watching, but he was horrible the whole rest of his back 9 of his first round. And then he just flipped a switch, dude. And I think, you can talk about this too. And I feel the same way, is when you're playing with players that are just whether you're on tour, whether you're dicking around with your friends on a Friday afternoon, if somebody starts lighting it up, it kind of feels that fire. and he saw Dustin Johnson just laser flag, birdie, laser, birdie, laser. And so he started doing the same thing. And Rory shot 66 today, which, of course, me cheering for him. I've got a couple of wagers out there on him. I want Rory to win. I want him to get his Grand Slam. Just a good dude. He could have easily. This is an exaggeration, but it also isn't. He could have shot 60. I think
he burned so many edges.
He had 5 or 6 putts, just barely, and he didn't make too many mistakes at all today. But the thing I noticed from him, which he was always a favorite coming into Augusta, not a favorite, but one of the top 5 and still is. But he's not drawing the ball anymore, dude. All his tee shots were right. His tee shots were this little cut. So
I think he was a little out of sorts, dude, because I mean, if you saw his shot on 16 in his first round that he finished this morning, he hit this big overdraw with a short iron into the water. And that's just not like him. Usually he's pretty dialed. So I think it's got to be something small to swing. I think it's definitely his club path. I don't want to get too technical here, but I think his club path's getting a little out of whack. And I think he's actually getting maybe a little too far inside out, because he does hit that little push, but he aims left of the flag and hits it dead at it. So he's used to hitting that little push when he's trying to either fade it or hit it straight. And I think he's just getting a little too inside out to either where he's hitting too big of a push or he's hitting an overhook. So something in that area. But yeah, dude, he went crazy in his second round. And like you said, he missed so many putts. And I don't know, how closely did you watch Louis Oosthuizen? Because he did the same thing, dude. He's missed so many putts, and it's so frustrating because it just looks like Louis doesn't give a shit. Like I know there's a certain level of like not care. It's not caring, but being okay with missing putts. Louis just like seems like he's disinterested, and he's so talented. It's unbelievable. But he caught a bunch of shit from Gary Player a few years back because he's a fellow South African. And he said, if Louis Oosthuizen actually practiced and tried to be a top 10 guy in the world, talent wise, he's right up there with Rory, all those guys in ball striking, DJ, John Rahm, but he just doesn't care. He lives on this gigantic farm in South Africa and hits balls into the field and runs his tractor and just doesn't give a shit. So it's kind of frustrating watching Louis because he doesn't, it's good to not get angry, but he doesn't show any emotion. It's like he doesn't even care. And right. I would like to see him win, especially after Bubba screwed him out of a green jacket, and I just can't stand Bubba. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, Bubba Watson, one of my picks, we'll just leave him alone. He made a few eagles today, but also his janky ass putting stroke. He had he missed an eagle putt on 15. He is putting with his front foot, so it's going to be his right foot. He's putting with the heel off the ground, so he's like putting all his weight in his the right ball of his foot. And I have no idea what he's doing, but he just left it wide open and missed like a 6-footer for eagle.
Watching him putt is definitely not for the faint of heart. It is. If you watched him just putt,
away from it.
if you watched him just putt, you could find any 10 to 20 handicap on any putting green that's got a better stroke than that. It really is like atrocious to watch. It makes me sick.
Yeah, well, let's talk about another guy that's in the lead. Been here before, won a lot of tournaments before. Justin Thomas. He had an up and down day as well. There's been like these flows, these like roller coasters during this Masters of where you think a guy's just going to run away with it. And Justin Thomas is another one of those dudes that Dustin Johnson's in a tier pretty much by himself with like prime Tiger, where if he runs away with it, but Justin's like right there.
Yeah.
And he bogeyed, he had 2 bogeys in his first 4 holes on the second round today, and he found himself at 4 under, and all of a sudden he birdies 15, 16, 17, 18 and turns at 8, and he's tied for the lead. And then he goes to 1 and makes an absolute mess out of 1. Hits a tree, goes way back right, hits it over the green, chips it back over the hole, makes double. You're thinking he's out of it. He comes back and birdies 2, and then birdies 8 and 9, and he's sitting there at top of the lead at 9 under. So,
yeah, he hits it really good. He hits a solid draw. He's a drawer of the ball, and when he gets, it's just, it's repetitive. But when he makes putts, he's really tough to beat. And I just like his demeanor. He's laughing. I don't know if you saw, and it's hilarious too, because on 16 he thought he's aced it both days, and he hasn't even been close. Like he was grabbing whose caddy was it? They were walking because he on Thursday that pin was like front right or front middle, and so you can land it long and right and suck it back. And he landed it there, and he starts walking, and it's creeping closer because he has no depth perception. It's like 5 feet short of the hole, so it's not even close to going in. But he walks up and like grabs one of his playing partner's caddies, like he's bracing for a hole in one. And then he said the same thing in his post-round interview for round 2. He's like, "I thought I made it again," and it was. And then as he's watching, he goes, "Oh, that wasn't even close." So
I saw that exact same thing. Yeah,
that was hilarious. But he's just a good, fun dude. He doesn't take himself too seriously, but he's super competitive, and you just respect that. He's one of those guys that'll really like will him. I would say he forces the envelope a little bit. He doesn't just sit back and let it come to him. He pushes it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that hole 16. That's an electric factory. Like I know when they're going to put the pin where they will on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's the blast because and today, I mean, even Nick Faldo was talking about it. He's like, you land that thing at 2:00 of the hole, 10, 20 feet, you're giving it a shot to go in every single time. It's almost like going at the hole gives you less of an advantage. Like Dustin and Rory both flagged the shit out of it, and they both made made par, excuse me. And then they were playing with Patrick Cantlay, who had about the most silent 66 I've ever seen because he was playing with those two.
Yeah.
He was grinding away, just playing his golf, and he hit it outright, and he only had a foot, and he ended up making 2.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is if you land it to the right, you risk the ball not coming back towards the hole. I mean, it generally will, but you risk it sucking straight back off the front, kind of towards the front of the green, which makes for a huge swing and right to left putt. But like Justin Rose today, I don't know if you saw him on 16, but he like hated it. He thought it was in the water, or it looked like he thought it was in the water, and it ended up being like 10 feet left pin high, and he made birdie. I mean, that actually putting from that left side of the hole is the best spot to putt from, but you don't have a chance at making it if you hit it out to the left. You only can possibly make a hole in one if you hit it a little long and a little to the right. So yeah, that's always such a fun hole. But I will say, for a professional golfer, that hole is pretty damn easy. And it might not look like it on TV, but a lot of those guys don't even see the water there. If they hit it in the water, it's just because they hit a bad shot. It's not because they're intimidated. But all those guys out on tour are so far past worrying about hitting it in the water. They're not like, oh my God, there's water there, and they bail it out to the right. But it's almost like, we've played Pradera, a lot of the courses around here with these big bowl greens where everything kind of works and in towards certain flags, and that Sunday pin they're going to have it. Even if you land it, there's only like a yard to the left, but if you land it left, it kicks right. And if you land it out to the right, it's going to come down to the left. So it kind of does bowl right in there. And if you hit your number, then it's pretty damn easy. And especially playing, it'll play probably 180 when it's in the back, come Sunday, or kind of back middle-ish. But it'll probably play 175, 180, and that's a lot of guys are hitting 8-iron, maybe 7-iron, and that's going to be mostly birdies for tour pros from that distance with that kind of green. So
yeah, well, that's one of those holes, and I think I sent to Allie the video. Rory in his opening round was very relatable. I think.
Oh yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
On the tee at 16.
That is so bad.
He just cannot believe his follow through now.
Is Allie's audio messed up, or am I the only one that can't hear it?
On the tee at 16.
That is so bad.
So bad.
He's just
everybody's been there before.
That's just so perfect for how like all of us feel when we hit shots. Like I say that more than once around. Those guys usually say it like that many, once or twice, but just so relatable with like hearing stuff like that, because he came out, he shit himself basically the whole rest of the first round. And then he goes in the second round, shoots 66, and you're like, what? Like, this is the same day, same dude.
Exactly.
They're in the same clothes on the same golf course.
Well, when he said in between rounds he hit 5 9-irons and 1 3-wood, and he was like, that just turned it around. And I think he kind of knows it's bullshit, but that just goes to show you you can actually feel like you're striking the ball relatively well, or hitting it well and putting decent, but just not making anything. And that's the difference between a 75 and a 66. You know, it's very doable, or 73 and a 66, whatever. But I guarantee you there wasn't that many things throughout his round that went that different from round 1 to round 2. Just a few putts fell for him. But he did hit it really good in round 2. So.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about the inevitable. We may not have to talk about him after tomorrow. Unless he makes a couple birdies coming in. Bryson De Chambeau, he actually got one of the biggest shafts I've ever seen on the golf course.
Yeah, he did get hosed, and I
even bigger
that. I was like, the dude's a tool, but that's still, I don't care. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, because it's happened to everybody, and that shit sucks. I hate that.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what happened?
So what was it? Hole number 4, number 3, number 3, I think. He hit a drive. He's trying to drive number 3, which is stupid to begin with, because even on his second ball, he ended up making. Did he make bogey? He made bogey on his second ball, and it landed almost in the exact same spot as his first ball. But he ended up making 7 there. But he hit it about 10 yards, 15 yards left of the fairway, and the ball must have been embedded. I mean, because the rough is not that thick. It's not US Open thick. So, but they couldn't find it. And everybody's been there. It's one of the worst feelings ever. You're like, I know the ball was right here. How can I not find it?
Yeah.
And especially being on tour. And that's just kind of something that's funny with no spectators, because you would never see that with spectators. Everybody be like, oh, it's right there. It's right there. You know, like it embedded. And he was trying to coax the rules official into giving him like an embedded ball ruling. And I was like, don't you do it. Don't give in to Bryson. I thought he was about to pop his top. And he's like, oh, just can I get a ride back? And I thought that was pretty big of him. I think he might be growing up a little bit. But that I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Quick story. I had that happen to me in a qualifier when I was in high school for the Optimist Junior World Championships. I was on my second hole, and I hit a layup shot on a par 5. And I knew it was like just in the left edge of the fairway, right in the first cut. Couldn't find it. And I was so pissed off. I was like, here we go. Second hole, already this shit. And so I turn around and I almost step on it. It's in a divot about that deep. I couldn't see any part of the ball above the ground. And all the guys are already walking up towards the green. And I'm like, well, shit, I'll hit it. And I end up gouging it out with, I think, like a gap wedge and hitting it to like 2 inches. I almost made it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was electric.
I think one of my favorite parts about that hole, just because you can see it building with him, he's freaking out. He's talking to the rules official, talking all fast. But then he's saying, like, his caddy's like, you want me to stay here? He's like, yeah, just stay here and watch it. And then his caddy was like, well, yell if it goes left.
I heard that, and I was like, that's the most relatable shit ever.
Yeah, and then he hits it, and he goes, it's right in the same spot.
Yeah, everybody's back on the tee. Like Patrick Reed, and everybody is just like, it's going that way. So
I couldn't breathe, dude, because he was like that. Because when you do that, like you go back. That's one of the most embarrassing things in a tournament of golf, when you got to hop back on a cart and drive back to the tee, hit another one. The other group's probably already there waiting on you, and then
hold the group. Yeah, going back and having to hold the group up behind you. There is. Yeah, nothing worse.
And then you like hit it in the exact same spot, and you're like, "Oh my god, here we go."
I guarantee you, all the dudes standing on the tee were like, "Oh yeah, let's see him pump another one left," just because he came out with such a big ego this week, and otherwise, I wouldn't be really talking shit about him. But when you say Augusta's a par 67, he's like 15 over this week, then, because he's getting eaten up. And imagine if the greens were firm. I mean. This is the only time you can really bomb it out there, because the greens are soft enough. But if the greens are firm, you have no chance getting that close to greens and making birdies. Like, And
Yeah.
I called it before this shit even started. I mean, I'm not Nostradamus or anything, but I knew this shit was coming.
Yeah, well, and he started out the tournament the first day on Thursday. He had like 6 feet for birdie on the first hole, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. And he missed it. And then today, dude, he on 8, no one hit it. He was the only dude to hit 8 all day. The only guy to hit it in 2. Tiger actually got dangerously close. But they were talking about how, oh yeah, Bryson will get there. He's only had 6-iron in his hand, whatever. He had 4-iron, hits it to like 6 feet, and then misses it. And it was like, oh, dude, he's like, you cannot just hit the ball well here. That's what's great about it. And you see even these, like, a lot of these approach shots, these guys have like 130, 140, which is money from these guys distance-wise. And they're still not hitting it close enough to even, A, make birdie, B, sometimes they're 3-putting, and C, they're missing the green sometimes because some of the sight lines that are just so tough here. And that's something that doesn't get talked about much because it's kind of deep golf level thinking, but when you're looking at a green and you can't really see where to land it or you can't feel comfortable, like feeling comfortable over a shot's half the battle. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure 90% of the shots out there, there's just no comfortability whatsoever when you're trying to hit a golf shot.
Yeah, there is nothing worse for me personally than not being able to see the putting surface when I'm hitting an approach shot. Unless you've played the course a bunch, but some of these first time guys, like, you're just leaning on a number and you're just trying to hit that number, and a lot of guys don't even know where it ends up. And that's the tough thing with Augusta. Like you said, there's a lot of blind shots and there's no crowd. So guys could probably, like on 18, on that pin, they could have holed it out and would have never known.
Oh,
today.
yeah.
They couldn't see the flag. And a lot of guys stuffed it and had no clue. So, yeah, it's definitely a weird year for that. But I think that experience definitely comes into play there for sure.
Oh yeah, and that's why it's so cool to see Abe Answer, a guy that's and Cam Smith's only played in 1 Masters. Abe Answer's played in 0 Masters, and then you've got Justin Thomas who's won, and you got other guys at the top. So all right, let's go through before we finish up. Let's go through. I'll give you since your picks suck. I'll give.
They do.
Let's go with just like I'll pick a guy or you pick a guy from each of the. We'll go from everybody that's 5 under through 9 under.
Okay.
So, all right, you're most likely to win out of Answer, Smith, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson.
DJ.
DJ.
Yeah.
All right. Out of the guys that are at 8, you got Patrick Cantlay, Matsuyama, and John Rahm.
I'll go Cantlay. I think he's sneaky. He's going to be there come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, John Rahm had a great round. And, the thing about John Rahm is depending upon what time we wake up tomorrow, he could be in the lead by himself because he's only through 12. So he's got 6 more holes left. He's got 6 more holes left, including, and he started on the front. So he's got 13 and 15, 2 very birdieable par 5s that we could wake up and he could be at 10 under and be the solo leader going into the weekend, quote unquote.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
I know. So let's go. So 8 under. So real quick, my boy Paul Casey, little struggles today. He was the last, for the record, he was the last player in the field to make a bogey. So pretty hype about that. He did make 2 of those today. But then I thought it was interesting on 12 because he was playing with John Rahm, the tough little par 3. He hit his tee shot, and Rahm did too. But Paul Casey didn't putt out. And
because it was so dark.
Yeah, so Paul Casey's going to have to go out tomorrow, and he's going to have like 8 feet to get to 7 under, back to where he started the day.
Yeah, and I think that's smart because you can replicate that putt. You know what it does, even down to like the degree of slope. You can replicate that putt on the putting green, on the practice green before your round. That's what a lot of guys did. There's a few guys that putted out that it didn't make any sense. I think it was 11. Mark Leishman, or no, it wasn't 11. It was 13, I think. Mark Leishman putted out. He had like 40 or 50 feet for eagle, and I think he ended up 3-whacking. There's a few guys like, or no, was it? God damn it! I'm sorry. Was it 15? 15. It was 15. He hit it like 40 feet short right of the pin, and I think he 3-jacked it. And I think Matsuyama also hit after the horn and missed the green left, and I think he ended up making par. But at the same time, I do get it because imagine your first shot of the day being a 250-yard carry over a pond off the deck, you're not feeling comfortable whatsoever, I'd lay that shit up. 100%. There's no way I would be, even if I felt like I could get there, I'd be laying that up, because that is just not a swing you want to have for your first swing of the day, especially with how challenging. And I mean, usually these guys have like long irons in, but they were having like hybrid 3-wood in. So yeah. I wouldn't be fucking with that.
Yeah,
no thanks.
Basically hitting just 3-woods on the range, just so you don't top that first shot or hit it in the water. All right,
topping it wouldn't be the worst thing ever.
No, let's go to the guys at 7. So this is a really interesting group. We've got a former Open champ and the guy you're talking about, Louis Oosthuizen.
Louis.
He's still got 6 holes left, so he could be up there by the end of the second round.
Got to make some putts.
You got a former Masters champ just coming off of 66, Danny Willett.
He sucks.
You've got what'd you say?
I said he sucks. He doesn't suck, but after he won the Masters, he literally fell off the face of the planet. I mean, nobody
he just enjoyed it.
Maybe, yeah. Nobody really knew who he was anyway, but then he won the Masters and he really fell off. I think he actually won on the European Tour this year for the first time since he won the Masters. So he's definitely, I mean, I could say he's in some recent form, but overall the last 5 years, he's kind of seemed like a one-hit wonder. So I don't foresee him sticking around. I could be wrong, but I don't see
his Masters win is whipped cream on a dog shit career. Is that what you're saying?
He hasn't had a dog shit career, but it was definitely the icing on top of the shit cake, proverbial cake. He's definitely one of those guys who kind of came out of nowhere, and I don't think he's going to do a whole lot more in his career. If you told me I could win the Masters and never win anything else ever again, I'd take it yesterday. So I'm not talking too much shit, but
word. So okay, you got Willett, Fleetwood, Rose, CT Pan, and Louis Oosthuizen. Which one of those guys do you have as most likely to
most
win?
Likely, or who I want?
Most likely, like your gut of those guys. Which one could, like, if one of them wins, which one's it going to be?
I think it'll be Louis. I think he's hitting the ball really well, and he's got the experience. I mean, he's finished runner up there before, like we talked about, and I think he's still in the mode of like he doesn't have one yet, and I hope he really wants one, because I really want to see him get one. So I'm gonna go with Louis. He's the best ball striker in that group.
All right, and then we'll go last one. We'll go all the guys at T14, 6 under. Like I said, my guy Paul Casey could be at 7 by the end of with one putt, essentially. He's got a couple holes, 6 holes left. So you got Sebastian Munoz, Dylan Fratelli, Patrick Reed, former Masters champ, Paul Casey, and then Xander Schauffele.
Oh, I'll go Xander. I think Xander's game is just really good. He hits it sneaky long. He's not a very big guy, and he hits it a long way. And he's just got that kind of pedigree. He's low-key been one of the probably 5 best players on tour these last 2 years. So I'm going to roll with Schauffele. I know your guy. I think Paul Casey's got a decent shot. He just has never done it before in a major, so I don't know if he's quite got the stones for it. But
yeah, I feel that. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Wait. Let's go prediction on who's going to win.
Who wins?
Yeah.
Final prediction on who wins.
We want all the credit if we're right, none of the blame if we're wrong.
I'm going to go John Rahm.
God, I hate that. I just don't like that guy that much.
I don't like the guy either, but I want to be right.
That's fair.
I don't care about the guy.
I'll go Justin Thomas. I think he's got a real good attitude this week. I think he can I think he'll be around come Sunday afternoon. I think he'll make it happen. That's going to be one thin-ass green jacket. It's going to be made for a fucking 13-year-old, 130-pound kid. But
Justin was on the tip of my tongue, so.
Yeah, and DJ, they're all right there. But I'm rolling Justin. Do you want a friendly wager on this?
Yeah, let's friendly wager it. We can discuss the terms off live.
All right, sounds good.
All right, but real quick, guys, before we get off of here, you're watching the Masters. Go ahead and head on over to WGT and play in the DNVR Masters.
The Misters.
The Misters. We don't roll with vowels at DNVR. We don't like vowels. Not big vowel guys or girls. So roll over to WGT Masters, play in our tournament close to the hole at Pinehurst, number 2. I played today and I'm not saying that I'm that great, but I am in the lead currently. I am in first place in the DNVR 3 Country Club. So head over to WGT, get in that DNVR Masters, and then send us a screenshot at DNVR Sports. There's a pinned tweet at the top of our Twitter account. Send us a screenshot. You don't even have to be good to win.
Just say you participated.
Participate, send us a screenshot, and you could win some dope Denver Broncos gear. There's a lot of stuff we're giving out. So head over there and do that. We'll talk to you guys probably Sunday at some point. We're going to set something up, and enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Broncos beating the hell out of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Let's
See
go.
you tomorrow. Taking it to Stanford. I'm just saying that hopefully. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Doubtful.
But enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of the Masters. This is a great golf tournament, the best one of the year. It's like the golf Super Bowl. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace.